Come, little children, I'll take thee away into a land of enchantment. Come, little children, the time's come to play here in my garden of magic. This is Scarehunter, and you're listening to Scarehunter Story Time. Many scary stories to chill your bones. Today's story is called The Tale of the Killer Circus. So turn off the lights, get cozy by the fire, and be prepared for some scares. Everybody loves the circus, right? The animals, the big tent, the food, etc. But what if I told you that there's a circus where killing is the main event? That's right, a circus that literally kills. It's called the dreaded Nightmare Circus. Some people are dying to get in. You'll be dying to get out. Poor Manolo had to learn this the hard way. Manolo and his friends were walking around one Saturday afternoon, and when they got downtown, they came across a flyer advertising for a new circus. The flyer said, "Come one, come all, to the dreaded Nightmare Circus. A special place where all your nightmares come to life. So come on down. You're going to have a killer time." Manolo and his friends looked at each other, and Manolo said, "Where all your nightmares come to life, huh? Bet it's not even scary." One friend named Reese said, "That's not what I heard. I heard people talk about that place, and they say that it's a circus full of killers that are always looking for new victims." Another friend named Sean said, "I heard that too. I also heard that the cops have been trying to catch them, but they always manage to get away before the cops realize where they are. Not even the FBI can find them." Manolo just chuckled and said, "No way. You have to be making this up. There's no way it's a true story." A third friend named Miles said, "I'm with Manolo. That can't be true." After they talked for a while, they decided to check out the circus for themselves. Manolo had been grounded for an incident at school, and so were his friends, so they had to sneak out. When they got to the circus, they bought their tickets and went inside the circus tent. As they waited for the show to start, a man came up to them and said, "Here you go, boys. Kids get free drinks and popcorn. Enjoy the show." Manolo and his friends looked at each other as the man walked off and smiled at what just happened. Miles looked at them and said, "So far, so good. We even got free snacks. Most places never let kids have free stuff." As they ate and drank, they suddenly passed out. When they woke up, they were all tied up in the center ring. While the four of them tried to free themselves, they were blinded when the spotlight came on. As the crowd began to cheer, the ringmaster came out and said, "Welcome all, welcome to the dreaded Nightmare Circus, where all your nightmares come to life. We have a wonderful show for you tonight, folks. We got knife throwing, we got magic, we even have sword swallowing. So gather round and get ready to be blown away. Now, without further delay, let the show begin." As the boys continued to struggle, the first person who came out was the magician. The magician grabbed Reese and Sean and put them in separate boxes and got ready to cut them in half. The magician grabbed a saw and began cutting Sean first. As Sean began to bleed, the magician was able to hide it so no one would notice anything was wrong. When he was done with Sean, he went over to Reese. When the magician was done, he moved both boxes apart, and the audience applauded as the light dimmed. While the lion tamer was doing his act, the ringmaster tied Miles and Manolo to round spinning wooden boards for the knife-throwing act. As the lion tamer left, the ringmaster came up and said, "Now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the knife-throwing part of the show. So those of you with weak stomachs may want to leave the tent now. Bring out the knife thrower." A man came into the spotlight with many sharp knives. Manolo and Miles wanted to scream, but the two of them were gagged. The boards began to spin, and the knives began to be thrown. The knife thrower started throwing a few blindfolded, then threw a few behind his back over his shoulder, then under his legs. Each knife missed Miles and Manolo by an inch. The thrower threw the last two knives crisscross, and as the knives hit both boys, the spotlights turned off. A few seconds later, the lights came on, and the boys were gone. While the crowd cheered, people backstage were getting rid of the bodies. As the people left, the dreaded Nightmare Circus packed up and headed out before the police could catch them. When they got to the next town, they set up flyers to attract more victims. Two girls were walking home one day when they saw the flyers. One girl named Savannah said, "Where all your nightmares come to life, huh? We'll see how scary it really is." Her friend Kimmy said, "I don't know about this. I heard the police from the last town and the FBI are after them because they're a circus of killers." Savannah just laughed and said, "What are you, nuts? A circus of killers? That's a good one." As she continued to laugh, Kimmy glared at her and said, "Don't laugh at me. I'm being serious. It was all over the news." As Savannah slowly stopped laughing, she said, "Then why wouldn't the audience stop the killers?" Kimmy said, "'Cause they make the killings look like it's part of the show. That's what I heard anyway." Savannah stopped smiling and said, "You really are serious. We need to find a way to stop them." Kimmy looked at her and said, "I know, but how?" Savannah thought about it. Then she said, "We'll have to call the police, then sneak into the circus and keep them from taking off." Kimmy nodded, and they put their plan into action. After they called the police, they went to the circus. When they got there, they snuck in the circus from the back entrance. When they got in, they hid in a costume trailer. They found some costumes and disguised themselves as circus workers. After they put on the costumes, they began to look around for clues. As they looked around, they snuck into the main tent. When they got in the tent, they looked at the equipment for any kind of clue to prove they were killers. They didn't find anything. As they were about to leave the tent, they heard muffled crying from backstage. When they got backstage, they found victims tied up and prepared to be unwilling showstoppers. Kimmy and Savannah untied everyone and helped them get away. As the last victim took off, Kimmy and Savannah hid as they heard people coming in and talking. The girls did their best to keep quiet. As they remained hidden, they heard someone who said, "What are we going to do now? Our showstoppers are gone." They heard another voice that said, "First, we got to figure out who let them go. Then add them to our show. Now keep your cool and let's get going." When the people left, Kimmy and Savannah came out of hiding, then ran out of the tent and continued looking around. While they were searching around, they found a haunted house attraction tent, and went inside to see if they could find any more clues. As they walked through, they saw tons of torture devices. They got scared and were about to run back, but then they heard muffled noises. While they were trying to pinpoint the noise, they heard the ringmaster who said, "How could our showstoppers get away? You guys were supposed to be guarding them. What happened? Now the cops and the FBI are sure to get us." They heard another man who said, "We still have the people in our haunted house tent. We can use some of them for our main attraction. As for the ones who got away, we set traps all over and snipers, so no need to worry about cops or FBI." When Savannah and Kimmy heard footsteps leave, they continued to follow the noise. They found the source of the noise, and it was coming from behind a black curtain. When they opened the curtain, they found more victims who were bound and gagged. As they were trying to free the victims, they both felt a sharp pain and passed out. When they woke up, Kimmy and Savannah saw that they were back in the main tent in the center ring. Once the spotlight came on, the audience cheered and the ringmaster came out. He bowed and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, we have a very special act for you. This is her first time performing, and I'm sure it won't be her last. Let's give a big round of applause for our new act, the Fire Breather." Kimmy and Savannah struggled to get free as the woman came up to them with her flaming torch. Hope you guys enjoyed that story and enjoyed the background sounds. Hopefully it works with this. Until next time, unpleasant dreams.